Paul Great Boachi Dankwa, who wants to go to Parliament on the ticket of the good people of Iboakwa North. We'll talk about the budget in detail, but first, we'll give honor to whom honor is due, as custom, demand, and tradition dictates. Mother Teresa is popularly known, Teresa Kufuor Mensah, born on October 25, 1935, and died on October 1, 2023. The wife of the former President John Agyekum Kufuor, second president of the Fourth Republic of Ghana. Kufuor, the youngest child in her family, was born Teresa Mensah, and she was born, as I told you already, in 1935. Her older brother was the economist and New Patriotic Party politician J.H. Mensah, whose audio and video I played for you yesterday from Parliament, when we're trying to reminisce on what the quality of debates have begun or become in Parliament. She was trained at the Catholic convent Ola at Keta in the Volta region. She later went to London, where she was educated as a registered general nurse in the Southern Hospital Group of Nursing in Edinburgh, Scotland. After further study at Radcliffe Infirmary, Oxford, and Paddington General Hospital in London, she qualified as a state-certified midwife with a certificate in premature nursing. And you know that she sought to, the public limelight. And after, President Kufuor had won and everybody kept calling her Mother Teresa, you can find footprints of her legacy across the country. Today, she's being given a state burial. We're already told that the likes of Alan Tremantin, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu, the entourage from Parliament, party executive, and many others have gathered there at the State House to pay her last respect. Judith Brown is at the funeral grounds. She joins us now on the phone line. Judith, good morning. Thank you very much indeed. Can you quickly paint for us a picture of what exactly is happening at the State House this morning?
Right, good morning. Yes, I am at the State House currently, and the funeral of the late Teresa Kufuor is currently underway. It started really early this morning, at about 6:30. The body was already on the ground, and silent pass has started. Of course, they started with the immediate family of the deceased. They went the crowd past, as well as sympathizers, friends, political parties. There are quite a number of people here. We know that earlier, the widower himself, the former President John Agyekum Kufuor, appeared right here at the State House for the burial of his deceased wife. We know that there are quite a number of political party members here. Of course, with the New Patriotic Party, we know that some former flag bearer fans of those who arrived. I earlier saw Mr. Denny Moore here. I also saw Honorable Efri Yakutu. He was also here. Of course, Alan Tremantin had also appeared earlier. He came with his entourage, his wife, and quite a number of people, following them. We saw the Majority Leader earlier. We saw Pakwesi Indumas, of course. We also saw him earlier here. They're all seated in the gathering, and the family of the deceased are also here. Quite sad and solemn mood for them. But of course, they have been silent pass earlier, and silent pass is still ongoing. We also saw that the Vice President of Liberia had arrived earlier. She's seated amongst the leadership at the top there with other political leaders. And so basically it's been a solemn mood here at the State House, where former First Lady Teresa Kufuor is being buried. Her funeral is currently ongoing. And of course, we're expecting some more people to be here. You can see the chiefs as well. The chiefs are very well represented.
Right.
And of course, the Catholic bishops as well are here. We know that he was a Catholic. And so we're here to see whether or not this funeral will go in the likelihood of a Catholic sort of funeral, or is going to go in the traditional way. But of course, kindly, as I said, the silent pass is still ongoing. That will be done by about 8:45 p.m. and the funeral proper will start. And so we are expected to hear tributes from several people, of course, the family, the widower, and in fact, friends and sympathizers are being allowed to also give their tribute. So kindly, that's what's happening here at the State House.
Do we know when the official service is to begin?
Yes, of course, I'm hearing that it's supposed to start at about 9 a.m. Of course, the first part would end at 8:45. And so by 9 a.m., we're expecting that the official funeral service would begin here.
Thank you very much, Judith Awotri Brown, for your update this morning. We're grateful that you could join us from the State House, where the former First Lady, Theresa Kufuor, Mother Teresa as is known, is being paid her last respect. William, we'll pause for a minute and then we will come to you for your comments.
Yeah.
President Kufuor couldn't hold back his tears while he spoke about his deceased wife. May she rest in peace, and may her soul and all the souls of the faithfully departed through the mercy of God rest in peace and rise in glory. It's 8:15 here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. William, what do you remember the former First Lady for?
Yeah, when I was at the Mirror as a young reporter, we used to cover her foundation a lot with the late Yasewa Menu, the photographer. Apparently, the photographer also looked so much like her, so we used to call the photographer Madame Teresa herself. So that's the Mirror too was for women and children, basically.
Right.
So there are a lot of activities that she did and we covered. And for me, as a First Lady, she was not controversial. She just stayed in her lane, allowed the husband to run the country, and basically she'll be remembered as a very good mother for of the state, if you like. Yeah.
Helen, what do you remember?
Not much. By virtue of age and being the youngest on this panel, I wanted to remind us all of that. But may her soul rest in peace.
See, Paul Grave.
Well, very good morning to you, Johnny, and a heartfelt commiseration to the former president of the Republic, John Ajackum Kufuor. To lose a loved one is not an easy thing, especially when you've been with a person considerably over almost 30.
Right.
So that's a very difficult one. But be it as it may, as we know, that good ripe age is a blessing from the Lord. And so as Ghana mourns, as the new Patriotic Party mourns, as the former president John Ajackum Kufuor mourns, as some aspect of the continent of Africa mourns in memory of Madame Teresa Kufuor HE, we are certain that the good Lord will find a very good place for her soul. She was a very calm, reflective, respectful, loving, adorable mother. And she served very well during the tenure. And you recall she had come at the backbench of a lot of issues that had happened in the country, especially during the PNDC era. And so we do appreciate her support and her love and tender kindness and generosity to the country. And for many who have been impacted by her, I'm very certain that her life continues to live on in our hearts. And heartfelt commiseration as well to the children, Chief and the rest of the children, and to the in-laws as well. My big auntie is married to Chief.
Oh, okay.
That's Gladys.
Right.
And so heartfelt commiserations as well to Auntie Gladys.
Great. May she rest in peace.
And I'm so touched, so honored that in spite of our different political outlooks, Her pattern has brought us together. So thank you for coming in your numbers to mourn. And when the family has set the timetable, we'll take it as our duty to inform President and the entire team. So we do the right thing for her. So thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to all of you.
And that was a good husband saying bye-bye to his wife, and it's a painful one indeed. Well, away from that, the world seems to be in a geopolitical, economic, social, and climatic turmoil. Countries which once belonged to the same state are now up in arms against each other. Economies appear to be in shambles, while there is a climatic confusion bringing to humanity pestilence and diseases. Meanwhile, all the solutions professed by the intellectuals, politicians, and economists come as impotent in the long run before the overwhelming incomprehensibilities. And the Grail Foundation of Ghana is inviting the general public to a lecture titled Earthman and World Events. Earthman and World Events, based on a unique source of spiritual knowledge in the Light of Truth, the Grail Message by Abdul Shirin, and the author mediates to mankind of today knowledge about creation, the perfect laws that govern, maintain, and further creation, and the spiritual responsibility Earthman brings in the world on the basis of his origin, his purpose on earth, and his final goal. Date is the Sunday, 19th November 2023. Time is 3 p.m. sharp. Venue is the Paloma Hotel Conference Room, Ring Road Central, near the Kwame Nkrumah Circle here in Accra. Admission is free, but if you want some more information, please call 0244 217 810. That's 0244 217 810, 0244 217 810, or 020 251 2974. That's 020 251 2974. After these messages, we get into the budget conversation. Stay with us here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio. My name is Johnny Hughes. I'll see you in a bit.
Daddy, another fella there. A dancing at 10.
That's right, we're live on 3FM 92.7. Yesterday, the finance minister fulfilled his constitutional obligation and appeared before the House of Parliament, the 8th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Some say he presented the penultimate budget of the Akufo-Addo-led government. Some say he presented the final budget. Well, depending on where you stand, it's still a budget that will be considered and then hopefully be implemented in 2024. The reading is done, appropriation will be done, debate will be had. We do know that the weekend will feature the workshop in Parliament. Initially, the parliamentarians had wanted to go to Rock City in Akwetia, but Speaker says, no. Not Volta Serene either. Stay in Parliament, consider the bill in Parliament, and let's hear what you have to say in Parliament. And as part of the discussions around the budget, we will also engage you. So please go onto our social media page. And yesterday we asked you a question, which taxes you would want to say bye-bye to. We got a lot of answers. We'll share some of those with you. But what exactly did you infer from the budget that relates to you personally? I'm talking to you. That's what part of the budget appealed to you? Let's talk about it. In studio with me is Mr. Palgrave Boachi Dankwa. He is an MPP parliamentary hopeful for the Abuakwa North seat. He's also the spokesperson for governance and security under Nana Addo Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Yes. Welcome. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Johnny.
Did I get the titles right?
Well, I mean, you know that I live without titles. I think it's really the evidence on the ground that is important. But a very good morning to you, Johnny, and to your co-panelists.
All right.
I hope people, they are not panelists, they are co-hosts, right?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
So your
co-pilots.
Your co-pilots,
yes.
Okay. Your co-pilots. And a very good morning to your viewing public, 3FM, and to the good people of Abuakwa North, my constituency. I greet all of you this morning.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, joining us on the phone line is also the MP for Cape Coast South constituency, Honorable George Kweku Ricketts-Hagan. Honorable, welcome. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Good morning, Johnny.
Great. I know that you have to go into another studio. We just had to get you in. First of all, did the budget scratch you where you itch?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners and viewers. First and foremost, this is a dysfunctional budget because it's a budget that doesn't reflect all the liabilities of government. So whatever you see in that budget could change the next day when we are able to do something with our external debt. There is nothing about our external debt in the budget other than saying that they are preparing to negotiate. So the budget that you see does not reflect all the expenditure items that we should be making. Most significantly, the external debt, which we have not been paying for a while. So that tells you that if you put in what we should be paying for our external debt, our deficit will be more than is being shown in the budget. Currently, the deficit is about 50 billion because they plan to spend 226 billion and then raise a revenue of 176. Now, as I was saying, if you should put in what we are not paying in terms of our servicing of our external debt, your deficit will be over 100 billion. So that's number one. Secondly, any fiscal gap that we pretend to have is a deception, because for the same reason that if you are reflecting all your liabilities, you wouldn't be able to get a fiscal gap to do any of the things that they claim they will be doing. So that is number one. They are saying that the economy will become a $1 trillion economy. That basically has very little to do with them. NDC government will create to them 3 oil fields. If you have 3 oil fields and you have revenue coming from it, obviously your GDP will grow. Don't forget that also in 2018, there was a rebasing of Ghana's economy in 2018, where we changed the base year from 2006 to 2010. That brings a significant GDP, which previously did not have. So it is just natural that the economy is going to grow, towards the 1 trillion. not because MPP government did anything special.
But that would not be fair to them, given the fact that they have also worked. I mean, they have a working economic management team that's working around the clock. They have GRA going out to mobilize revenue, ECG, name all the institutions. They have told you how they have cut down on expenditure, especially among government appointees and all of that. So that is something to count for, no?
Well, government is a going concern. So, I mean, they didn't build Ghana's economy to where it is. Previous government have contributed, their share. So for them to be saying that they are growing the economy to 1 trillion, it's a deception. As I was saying that when we were in office, we had one oil field, but we had invested so that when they came in, they had 3. So that is going to bring in a significant revenue, which eventually will feed into your GDP. The same, our GDP itself had to be rebased. What rebasing means is that there is some hidden growth in your economy that, because of calculations, you have not been able to tap that. So when you rebase, then you get the proper reflection of that hidden GDP over a period of time. So if that helps you to move towards the 1 trillion mark, you cannot, take credit for all of that, because others have also contributed for you to be at where you are today. So yes, you can say that they have, all those things they have done are cosmetic anyway. If you talk about having cut expenditure and all that, this is what we've been talking about. If they should cut expenditure significantly, we'll be able to create room to do the things that is becoming difficult for government to do now. The biggest issue in all of this budget is to do with the debt of Ghana. And until we begin to address our external debt, whatever we are doing in terms of budgeting, it's not going to be a true reflection of the state of the economy.
There's a tall list.
Government, which is likely to be an NDC government, will have to come and pick up the pieces and pay all these debts.
Are you sounding the warning bell before you, if the people decide to vote for you in 2024? You seem like you're sounding the warning bell that, okay, the thing has already been messed up. So if we come and we're not able to do anything, then don't blame us. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the economic mess is clear to everyone. I don't have to preach to anyone about the state of Ghana's economy at the moment. You feel it in your pocket. It's a disaster. It's been a mess. And it will require some serious thinking and some serious strength to be able to get Ghana's economy. The warning I'm sending is that it's not going to be an easy job. But the problems that we face in this country at the moment, the alternative for solving it is not the MPP government who created the mess in the first place. But if you want to call it an alarm bell, it is not to say that we cannot be able to, we cannot fix the problem. What I'm saying is that the mess that they have created is going to be a serious, serious problem for Ghana going forward. And we will need all our heads together to be able to resolve it. But it definitely will not be the MPP government. They cannot deal with it.
How does this sound to you? Extend zero rate of VAT on locally manufactured African prints for 2 years, waive import duties on import and of electronic vehicles for public transport for a period of 8 years, waive import duties on semi-knockdown and completely knockdown electric vehicles imported by registered EV assembly companies in Ghana for a period of 8 years, extend zero rate of VAT on locally assembled vehicles for 2 years, zero rate VAT on locally produced sanitary pads, grant import duty waivers for raw materials for the local manufacture of sanitary pads, grant exemptions on the importation of agriculture, machinery, equipment and inputs and medical consumables, raw materials for pharmaceutical industry, and a VAT flat rate of 5% to replace the 15% standard VAT rate on all commercial properties will be introduced to simplify administration. How does this sound to you?
Well, Ghanaians are taxed, to the hill. Taxes are swallowing us at the moment. So any tax relief that Ghanaians get is definitely welcome. But what they don't tell you, or what you don't see with your clear eyes, is that when you go through the budget, you actually realize that they have given with the left hand and they have taken with the right. The embedded tax in this budget, which we mentioned yesterday, basically does not make any relief, anything to write home about. But of course, it's a good idea to get some tax relief. But the level of taxation we have in this country at the moment is quite astronomical and impossible for an ordinary Ghanaian to live a meaningful life. Cost of living.
I'll bring in Palgrave to make a comment, but first, and I know you have to go, the government is targeting 176.4 billion Ghana cedis as its revenue, but they intend to spend 226.7 billion expenditure. Now, you have been a deputy finance minister before. Why would we spend beyond what we earn, and where are we going to draw the extra cash from? Do you know what usually happens?
Well, usually, basically, yes, we have to start cutting our coat according to our size or our cloth, as others will say. So, of course, if you can raise 176 and you are spending in excess of 266, then clearly you have a deficit, which you can only fund by borrowing. Borrowing is what has brought us to where we are at the moment, over borrowing in this case. So it means that what they are telling us is that they are going to be borrowing 50 billion to be able to plug that hole. But at the moment, where we are not attractive when it comes to even borrowing from the international market and other places, that will be some job to do. But it clearly tells you that this government is still not listening, that our expenditure is so high and that it needs to be reduced, and clear evidence or clear areas that the alternative, which is the NDC government, civil society, and many Ghanaians have said, cut the size of your government, cut this, cut that. But the other man, they are still doing the same thing, expecting that they will get a different result. But they are always telling us about things they are going to do. They never tell us what they have done successfully. Even the debt, as I told you, if we don't address the external debt, we owe the Chinese 1.9 billion. We owe the Paris Club about 2 billion. We owe other non-Paris clubs about 3.8 billion. This is just our bilateral, which together is about 7.7 billion United States dollars. I'm talking about dollars here. When you go to the multilateral, you realize that we owe them 8.8 billion. That is the World Bank, the IMF, and others. And then you come to the commercial side of things, which is the Eurobond and all that. This government has borrowed so much money from the Eurobond that as we see today, we owe 13.4 billion. And yes, you are right. We are still going to be borrowing to fund the deficit, because all the revenue we could raise is what they are telling us we are going to be raising.
I see.
Which is 176 billion to finance an expenditure of 226 billion. That's the government we are living.
I see. Palgrave, a word or two for the Honorable. He's on the phone line. What do you disagree with? All that he said. Do you have a point of disagreement?
Well, so Johnny, Honorable Rickett and I were on another network last night, so we've had our conversations, and he clearly knows my standpoint of what our government has done, and he agrees to a larger extent that, as he calls this budget a dysfunctional budget, this is actually a functional working budget. And I mean, the Ghanaian people need to know what we have done. And we've stated that very clearly. And I can list all of that. I mean, a heavy investment in free SHS. Johnny, when we talk about investing close to our 8.4 billion Ghana cedis, impacting close to about 5.7 million young people going to school, otherwise we did not exist. This is what the government has done. We talk about increased enrollment and some learning outcomes with the school feeding program. Impacted close to about 3.8 million peoples, invested close to about 3.6 billion Ghana cedis. NHIS, we've reformed that and added a lot more delivery systems to ensure that close to about 60 million Ghanaians are now impacted positively by NHIS. Invested in capital grants, close to about 248.5 million Ghana cedis. The investments are enormous.
Are you going to borrow again?
There's no way.
Are you going to borrow again?
You know, Johnny, there's not been any government. I mean, and the honorable member at the minority side is aware that there's not been any government all across this world that doesn't coexist with other international organizations and other international bodies. You have to remember, Johnny, that we are under an IMF program, and we presented our PCPEC to the IMF, and we are implementing the IMF program in the midst of our growing challenges and difficulties. And even in that growing challenges and difficulties, we are ensuring that the Ghanaian people are not left out. I mean, the honorable member at the other side talks very strongly about our external debts and our internal debts and even the domestic debt exchange program. John, you recall that we wanted to structure our debts, which is why we had huge conversation before the Paris Club agreed for us to have an IMF conditionality coming in. We worked on all of these. I mean, so tax relief.
But have we not borrowed enough already? Borrowed ourselves into a hole, and that's what Honorable Ricky Hagan and his colleagues have been saying, that we have borrowed too much. So now we need to tone down,
Johnny,
cut down on this expenditure, and then we can breathe.
Johnny, we are breathing very well. There's no one suffocating. I'll tell you the truth, because you see, we've cut down extremely. I mean, government was the first to cut down expenditure. You recall when the president had his cabinet retreat, extended one in Pediase, and then issued that we should cut down. Expenditures were cut down, salaries were cut down, fuel allowance were cut down, travels, per diems were cut down.
But the numbers
the establishment of new state institutions were paused. I mean, huge number
but
of
the numbers remain the same.
Huge number. But then if you cut down money, okay, you cut down the expenditure of salaries, you cut down the expenditure of investments that would go into the operationalization of state institutions. You cut down these things, and the effectiveness of it is ongoing. I think that you cannot rule that out. You also must recall that before this budget was read, government had a stakeholder engagement and increased. Government is proposed to increasing the salaries of public servants, civil servants, to 23% from January of 2024 to June of 2024, with an extended increase to 25% from June of 2024 to December of 2024. You remember as well that in the 2022 budget, which was read for 2023 in November of 2022, we estimated to raise salaries by 15%. And so this is an increment of 8% increment to January of 2024, and a 10% increment
but Paul Grave,
to June.
You know that
clearly.
You know, and this morning I said it. You know that 10% of 100 is not the same as 10% of 300.
I don't doubt
so
that.
10% of 300.
I don't doubt
is,
that.
Is 30% of 100.
But the situations are not the same.
If you are increasing by 23%, what is the current cost of living, their inflation rates,
inflation is coming down,
their
Johnny.
borrowing rate,
inflation is coming down,
right?
These projections,
but food inflation remains at the top high.
No, come on, look at the planting for food and jobs, PFJ.2, and the investments we are seeking to make in the grains, rice, the vegetables, and the investment. Sorry,
you've made or seeking to make.
Oh no, I mean there are investments we have made, and it's going to happen. PFJ phase 2.
Dr. Ismail Yamson said, we spend money to plant the food. We did not get the jobs. The food also did not come.
That's inaccurate.
Well, because we're importing nearly everything.
That's inaccurate.
Let me discharge Honorable Ricky Hagan. Your closing thoughts, sir. Thank you very much for sneaking to join us here. What do you leave us with?
Well, the inflation that, first of all, the wage issue. You are right, because the cost of living is so high. So if we want to look at wage, we look at real wage. Real wages lag behind inflation. Therefore, the cost of living is still so high. Now, the inflation itself that's coming down is welcoming. But you know why inflation is coming down? Because Bank of Ghana has stopped printing money, which itself was creating the inflation that we have. At the moment, the bulk of the inflation we have at the moment is a food inflation. Why do we have a flagship program that says we are planting for food and jobs, yet the contribution of agriculture or the food and jobs that we are planting in relation to GDP has been going down since 2017? When you look at our inflation, the bulk of it is food inflation, which means that prices of food are still so high. It means that the food is not actually there in the quantities that it should. So the paragraph should not even be talking about planting for food. It's a good policy that has failed. And why has it failed? Because of the abysmal, or I should say the incompetent way of implementing that particular policy. We've been spending about 600 million on it a year, which is part of the money we've been borrowing.
Right.
Yet, Ghana seems to be the only country that the more food we are supposed to have planted, the less we have it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kweku Ricketts-Hagan. He is a former Deputy Minister for Finance, and he also joined us here in his capacity as a Member of Parliament for Cape Coast South. We're grateful that you could join us this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Johnny.
And speaking of PFJ, listen.
We went through how many years of planting for food and jobs. We didn't get the food, we didn't get the jobs, but the money was spent. So the growth, where the growth should come for me, agriculture, manufacturing, tourism, because it employs large numbers of people. If you go to the factories in this country right now, I can bet you 9 out of 10 are shedding numbers. So those figures that we are quoting, we must always ask, what would they mean to us, to our people? Because if poverty levels are rising, then we have a problem. So we are not focusing on those areas where jobs can be created. In the service industry, where the growth, I'm sure, is coming from, look at the banks. Look at the numbers of people that the banks were employing 5-10 years ago, and look at what they need today. Now, you go to a digital bank. Sometimes there's nobody there. There's just a computer there. You go and sit there. You can do everything you want. 10 years ago, you needed 20 people sitting in that branch to do that same job. So we need to understand where jobs are being created today.
Where would you say?
In manufacturing, in agriculture, in tourism, even in technology. For the young people, I wasn't involved in the policy execution, but at least I can see the results out of that. And let me give you a very simple example. I used to buy a bunch of plantain for 25 cedis. Today, the same bunch I'm buying for 120. And we are in the food harvest season right now as we sit here. So if today I'm paying 3 times for the same bunch of plantain that I used to pay 25 cedis for, then my question is, what has happened to agriculture? Don't go very far, right? Don't go very far. Coconut. We used to buy coconut in Accra for what? 50 pesos. And we're complaining. Today is 5 cedis. I understand that a chunk of the cost is coming from transportation. But even so, should we go from 50 pesos to 5 cedis?
That's Dr. Ishmael Yamsing there. He is certainly not happy about the turn of events, planting for food and jobs. We have invested, but he says we can't find the food, we can't find the jobs. And he gives us a very simple analogy. I mean, I will stick with the coconut example because I consume coconut almost every day. 1 coconut is 5 cedis. Everywhere in Accra, everywhere in Kumasi, everywhere in Tamale, everywhere in Takrady, everywhere in Ho, 5 cedis. Ogriff, have you bought coconut recently?
I buy coconut every day. In fact, now it's even modernized. They don't just give you the coconut husk to be drinking from the point in a bottle and refrigerate it for you and give you a good price of about 20 cedis, 25 cedis because they put about 5 coconuts in it or 6 or 5.5 and things. Yes, I can appreciate all of
we the people.
I can appreciate that.
People, we drink from the husk ourselves. We want to hold our we know. We're talking about the base price.
But yes, of course, I can appreciate.
The coconut from the tree.
Yes, the coconut from the tree. Yes, the coconut plastics. Yes, the coconut from the tree is 5 cedis.
As a side note, I wish that we would stop doing that. We're increasing plastic waste. It's unnecessary. It's God's design that you drink from it, eat the whole thing, and throw the husk. Those pouring it into plastic cups. When I see it, I cringe.
Even the husk can be used for fuel, right?
Yeah.
Fuel.
I think we need to stop all of this. The extra catch is plastic waste, global warming, climate change. Let's just drink straight from the source and use the whole thing.
So he said the incoming MP should not be drinking from the bottle and chill.
Yes,
we drink from both. But Johnny, let's be very real. It's not as though any of us in this studio has not drunk from the bottle before.
Yes.
I have it.
It's not as though sometimes
it has a green.
Sometimes you're in a hurry. you know, and then sometimes with what you are wearing, you don't want the water to spill on your. So there are dynamics. It doesn't mean that we don't drink from it.
But it is
for the environment. Just for the environment.
But it is 5 cedis.
Oh yes, it is 5 cedis.
From 50 pesos, 1 cedi to 5 cedis.
From 50 pesos many years ago.
Oh, how many?
And then 5 cedis many years afterwards. I mean, Johnny, let's not go there.
But you know that I'm asking this because planting for export and rural development, the PED project under PFJ, had coconut as one of its key, components. You know that?
I do.
I was part of the launch. In fact, I emceed the launch at La Palme. I remember very well this lady at Gepa, and they were all there, right? We said we're going to make about $2 million or so from it because it was a big economy. How much have we made from that, for example? And those are the real questions that people continue to ask. The value we have added, not just putting it in plastic bottles, chilling them, but how we're converting the husk into fuel so that it doesn't just, carbs and all of that. That's the conversation.
But basically, that's for exportation. Obviously, when we're exporting coconut from Africa to the rest of the world, the prices will be very different. This economy has been created because the coconut people harvest comes from various places beyond Accra, and the transportation cost and all of that comes into combination of that. So that's for that. But for planting for food and jobs, Johnny, Dr. Ishmael Yabsin is a very, very astute senior citizen in this country. One of my father's best friends. I recall growing up. But planting for food and jobs is for 5 value chains. And it's important that we categorize it very clearly. It talks about grains, it talks about roots, tuber, vegetables, and poultry. Okay, and the impact of that, because you see, PFJ 2 is looking into impacting close to about 15 anchor farmers. And anchor farmers are farmers with about 500 outgrowers, impacting 5 regions. We're looking into Ashanti region, Greater Accra, Bono East, and Eastern region. And close to producing about 65,000 MT of broilers if we are looking into the poultry environment. And onions. The conversation that has gone into onion production and distribution and consumption for commodity. We are looking into ensuring that we are increasing the local production of onions and vegetables in Ghanaian households. Also, we are also trying to look into this fish farming and all of those other fish processes that comes along. Supply of premix fuel. We have looked at into supplying close to about 110 million liters of premix fuel for these purposes. If you look at, and I'm glad that Dr. Yamsin spoke about jobs, and jobs is important. Young people are the beacon of hope, and it's estimated by 2063, the continent of Africa is going to have the highest number of young people globally.
We'll get to the jobs. Let's take it one after the other.
Okay, then I can bring back my notes.
Planting for food and jobs. One of the things, and rightly so, as you mentioned, was the grains. So the grains being rice, being maize, being sorghum, being millet, and there's a 5th one, soybeans, right?
Yeah.
These were the 5 grains. Now, if you're a poultry farmer, as I've been before, you know that maize and soya come into feeding the animals. If you are a regular kenke, banku, cocoa, toza, fee person, you know that maize plays an important role. If you drink cocoa like Tuosafi as well, Kose and the rest, you know that millet and sorghum, they come into the equation. And then you have, which other one? That's 5. I've forgotten the one. Go onto our markets now and check the prices of these items. And then ask yourself how much we are using to import these things into the country quarter by quarter. Planting for food and jobs, after spending over 600 million every year in planting for food and jobs, what can we say has been the success story in the lives of the people in terms of the availability of these things I've mentioned and then the pricing of same?
Johnny, I think that is very clear. Leadership change brings a lot of dynamism, and you recall that we have a new minister responsible for food and agriculture. He's launched the PFJ Phase 2, and as robust as he is, he's ensuring that these issues that you're addressing is being solved.
So what are you saying? The first minister didn't
That
do
is
well.
not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
I want to understand you.
No, please, Johnny, please.
No, I want to understand you.
No, understand me, but don't take me to where you're taking me to. I am
We're in the studio.
No, of course. we are giving a perspective. Okay, you are talking of a perspective that was. We are giving a perspective that is today. And it's important that as we give the perspective that is today, we don't rationalize. And in rationalizing, we are doing it in context of the solutions that we are providing.
Okay.
So we are providing solutions of the fact that there's going to be abundance of grains. There's all the soya and millet and all the grains that you spoke about. There's going to be abundance of that. There's going to be abundance of tuber vegetables, poultry. There's going to be abundance of that because government is focusing very strongly on these issues.
Listen to the president in 2021. That's after 4 years of implementing planting for food and jobs. All right, 4 years. So, Helen, do the math for me. 631 million times 4. All right, that's how much we spent on planting for food and jobs.
One. Yes. PFJ 1.
Yes, 1. So we spent that on 1, and then you can add 2021, 2022 until we got the new minister, right? So that's 6 years. So do 631 million times 6. Let's see how much we have spent. Based on that, in 2021, the president said something during the State of the Nation address. Listen to him.
It is a transformational step that we have taken, which should quicken the pace of development all round and give us confidence in our future. In 2017, it appeared to some like the same old refrain when we said farmers and agriculture would get the highest priority. But we can see the difference it makes when a government treats farmers with respect and spends resources and expertise on agriculture. We have seen the dramatic turnaround of our agricultural fortunes due to the progressive policies that have improved the living standards of farmers in the country. The excellently executed policy for planting for food and jobs has laid the foundation for the agricultural transformation of our country. We are able to say that our country is now a net exporter of food, and we no longer have to import basic foods like plantain.
So that was the president. He says we are a net exporter of food. And the records from the Ghana Statistical Service will show that we are not a net exporter of food. In fact, we're a net importer of food. Now, Helen, how much did you get? 631 million each year times 6?
Some 3.7 billion.
3.7 billion of our money.
That's right.
Is there enough to say that, look, this is what we did? Because before you move from 1 to 2, you must do an analysis. I know you have been a research person at Dankwa Institute, so as for figures and analysis and forecasts and etc., it doesn't, it can never outweigh you. Have we gotten the best out of PFJ?
We have.
With the spend we have made.
We have. And Johnny, you see, I don't have the data readily in front of me now. I mean, because obviously the conversation this morning was to
I'm not saying you should have the data,
yes, but I'm
just asking.
Yes, and I'm also responding.
Go ahead.
So I don't have the data in front of me now as we speak, but I think that the investment that we have made in PFJ 1 is astronomical. We still import food. According to the statistical service, Johnny,
cassava,
Johnny,
fish.
You recall
which country started fighting? Then we started talking about.
It was Russia.
Onion and Kotobi. No,
the sub-region of West Africa.
Gabon. Was it Gabon?
It might have been. I know with some of the turbulence.
Make some noise. Who said Gabon. So that was where the Kotobi and onion conversation came in.
I believe so.
Then no, it's Guinea actually.
Is that Guinea?
It's Guinea. Yeah, Guinea is the Kotobi one.
I see.
Kotobi, fufu and Kotobi one. That's where we import all those things: fish, cassava, tomatoes, onion, garden egg, garlic. Six help me. Yam, maize.
Johnny, we yam. Oh, Johnny.
Oh, we do.
Johnny, we have.
Should I play the tape for you?
Johnny, we
should
have.
I play the tape for you?
You are painting a picture of Ethiopia. You're painting a picture that is not real.
So, Professor Kwabena,
you're painting a picture.
The statistical
you're painting a picture that is not real.
He got it wrong.
So are you trying to say that we don't produce anything in this country?
I have not said that.
We have tubers of yam that comes length and breadth from the various regions into Accra. We have tomatoes that comes length and breadth from the various regions into Accra. We have onions that come length and breadth from the various regions into Accra. Cassava is even grown in my various hometowns. People have cassava, yam, plantain, Johnny. Pepper. All these things are available.
See, when you import from Burkina, from Mali, they come through the northern side.
Oh, don't be naughty.
Don't be naughty. We see the number plates. Don't you see that?
I can appreciate the fact that we coexist within an ecosystem. We coexist within an ecosystem where we share our produce.
I'm telling you that.
Okay?
I'm telling you
but
that.
we don't need to paint a picture that supposes that we don't produce anything in this country. We have hard-working farmers in this country. Okay, and in a few weeks' time to come, we're going to be celebrating Farmers' Day on the 1st of December. Okay, so these farmers who work very hard, cut across the length and breadth of this country, must be commended for their hard work. Okay, in commending their hard work, we are also reminding them that we sow what we eat and we eat what we sow. So really, I think that we should put it in context.
You know, when the president did the State of the Nation address, the one I just played for you, that was in 2021, right? In January. In that same January, 2021, 29 January, there's a story here that says tomato transporters threatened strike over persistent robbery attacks. I remember on that occasion, they parked their vehicles up north and they said they were not going to move until they got security. Really, let me remember that. The President Akufo-Addo, who have spoken to us in Parliament and said we are now a net exporter of tomatoes and onions and other things, he now asked the National Security Minister publicly to go and provide security for them to be able to bring in tomatoes from Burkina Faso. And they did. And the question I ask myself is, if we are no longer an importer of these things, and people are threatening that we will stop importing if you don't give us security, and then you go and find them security, then what really is going on? That's the question I'm asking you. I'm not saying that we are not planting at all. I'm just saying that what we are planting, is it enough to take care of us for us to sell some?
Johnny.
Because you also know that within that same period, we had to ban the exportation of cereals. You remember that? We did that 2 times. And cereals and tomatoes and all those things are part of PFJ. So, did we get value for the money we have spent?
Johnny, there was value for the money that was spent. Obviously, yes, we need to get to a stage where we grow enough that can take care of the Ghanaian people, and also we can give to other countries.
Right.
We would get there. But we are growing and we are planting, and we are using what we are growing and what we are planting to take care of the Ghanaian people. I would say the majority, and Johnny, we need to be truthful, majority of the things that you would find in the market, yam, tubers of yam, cassava, maize, onions, tomatoes, vegetables. A number of them are grown here. A number of them
you
are grown here.
with the market women that they told you that?
Oh, of course.
When you get
I go to the market. Market.
They tell this is Abidjan this.
And then they will show you the Ghana one.
Yes.
They will show you the Ghana one.
This is Abidjan
No, but they will show you the Ghana one. You see, because we need to be able to state that the country is doing well, the farmers are doing well, we are commending their efforts, we are commending their hard work every single day. When I speak to the people in my constituency, they tell me, Honorable, there are hard-working farmers in this country who are working and making sure that they feed the food basket and value chain.
Palgrave, you come from a farming community, right? Your constituents are largely farmers. And this question I want to ask you, I want you to ponder over it carefully before you answer this question. From that farming community, are we able to say that we are in the period of harvest? We are harvesting enough to store so that in the first quarter, when we will still be planting, we will have enough to consume. Are you able to confirm that, to say that confidently, that we are harvesting enough that we can consume now in the last quarter throughout the festive season, and then store some for the dry season, the first 3 months? Are we able to do that?
Johnny, if we are not able to do that, there will be hunger strike in this country. The last time I recall that there was a hunger strike was the year that I was born.
Okay.
That's over 40 years ago. Okay? So really, if we are not doing that, if wisdom is not causing us to store during moments when we are not harvesting and we are sowing and planting, then there will be hunger in this country. Tell me when, in the past 40 years, that there has been hunger, wide-scale hunger in this country. You can't find it.
So right now, it is harvest time, and food is expensive. Does it not worry you that harvest time, when the food is supposed to be in abundance and cheaper, it is expensive on the market? Does
Johnny,
it not worry you?
Tell me which food is expensive. I go to the market as you go to the market. Tell me which food is expensive.
Wow.
No, tell me.
Okay.
Johnny, tell me which food is expensive.
Tomatoes are not expensive.
Tell me the price of tomatoes.
Onions are not expensive.
I don't know how much you buy yours.
Cassava is not expensive.
We cook every single day in our homes.
Plantain is not expensive.
School children get food to eat every single day in their homes.
Is not expensive.
Workers get food to eat every single day in their homes.
So food is cheap.
Food is affordable.
It's cheap.
Food is affordable.
Affordable and available.
Okay,
let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on from the PFJ conversation. You have answered your. I'm sure the listeners will also make up their mind. But then you were telling me about the other reliefs that government has put up there. People have questioned that. Look, you could have done better with all the things that the 8 reliefs that I mentioned. People say, look, you could have done better. You could have given us some more because Charlie, we cannot. For example, COVID levy. Why is it still there?
Johnny, COVID-19 plunged the world. About 6 million people died, which is almost the population of a country that I do not want to mention. But you should know that the effects of COVID-19 still lives on. As a country that is thinking forward and ensuring that effect, and the fact that 100 years ago, nobody ever thought that we'll wake up one day and then there will be a pandemic that will hit the entire world, that 6 million people will die. The government is thinking forward. Okay? We were not prepared for COVID, destroyed health institutions. We realized that we didn't have a whole robust health infrastructure. The president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, audaciously stated very clearly that he's going to build 111 district hospitals. And he has. And he would commission them. All of them.
They have been built?
Oh, we would commission them.
The hospitals have been built?
We'll commission them.
You said he has built them.
We are building and we'll commission them.
When?
Oh, before the president hands over.
But the deadline is
Oh
gone.
no, Johnny, we haven't finished our governance. We haven't finished our governance structure. The president is going to be commissioning a number of the Agenda 111.
A number, not all of them.
Oh, and a sizable part of it.
You can't achieve your own targets.
Oh, Johnny, we are going to complete a number of them, and it's going to be commissioned. So really, COVID-19
so that
levy,
who will continue the others?
Well, the next MPP government.
See.
Yes, the next MPP government is coming under the leadership of the flag bearer of the New Patriotic
But the
Party.
people say COVID is
Alhaji
gone.
Dr.
Why are you
Mahmood
still
Bawumia.
taking COVID?
And that is why we should remind people that COVID is gone. We're taking COVID levy tax. Those monies are being stored up, okay, for a lot of works that needs to be done in relation to any pandemic that would come up. You know, there are people that still live with the impact of COVID-19, loss of breath, SpO2, lung issues, chest issues, bronchitis. I mean, lots of people live with lots of challenges. So the COVID-19 levy is there to ensure that as a country, we are prepared effectively for any eventuality that would happen to us. And I think that we should commend the forward thinking of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Part of what the COVID, we'll come to job creation for the youth. Part of what the COVID-19 levy is being used for is the free water and free electricity. First of all, you tell me, was there ever free water and free electricity? Because we are paying for it. That's the conversation.
Johnny, tell me at a time when we had COVID-19, when we gave tariff reliefs to households and people were staying home and were not working, and the economy was almost at a standstill, and government were paying government workers and paying teachers and paying nurses and paying critical workers, giving them insurances. Tell me that we didn't give free water. Tell me we didn't give free electricity. Tell me how your electricity was able to last you all those number of days when you stayed at home, put on your air conditioner and was watching Netflix. Tell me.
I don't have an air conditioner.
Well, I mean, some people listening to us do. You understand? Tell me.
You say I do.
You understand? So clearly, if you look at these things, we're giving water. I mean, we had tankers that were going out, giving water, giving food, hot meals a day to people who were staying home, who were not working as a result of the economy.
So you
cannot say that we didn't give free water.
I'm looking at the dictionary definition of free, and it says without cost or payment. That is free.
Did you pay?
Cost or payment.
Did you pay?
The
time we announced that we're giving free water and free electricity, did you pay?
So, Paul, what you're saying, for example, is that if you walk into a shop, you see a nice shirt that you like, and then you take the shirt and you tell the woman, oh, I want to have this shirt. So you can have it for free. And then 3 months after, the woman says, this is the payment plan for the shirt that you took. Would you still say that the woman gave you the shirt for free?
That is not what the government is doing.
That is what the government is doing.
No, that is not what the government
is doing. Are you sure?
That is not what the government is doing.
Listen to Information Minister Kojo Oponkroma. Listen to him.
Pandemic. That's why today articles are being published around the world commending Ghana as one of the best response countries. But that 19 billion cedis has to be paid for at some point. The liabilities we have incurred has to be paid for. COVID expenses are going to be with us at least for the medium term.
Does the 19 billion include the free water and electricity you gave?
It does. It's part of COVID-related expenses.
No, but you gave us that one hand and you're taking it back the other.
No, we were in the midst of a crisis and government had to front load.
You said it was free.
But it's free to you. It wasn't free to the treasury. It wasn't free to the treasury.
I'm lost here.
No, so when we say free electricity, it doesn't mean that the IPP producer is also going to say, because the president has said free electricity, I won't charge the country for it.
The government will have to pay.
The government will have to pay.
Yeah, but I'm saying that you are now in 2021.
Yes.
You now want us to pay for it.
I'm saying the government, for example, had to borrow money, the fiscal impact about 19 billion, to make all of those expenses happen. In addition to that, there are going to be expenses in the medium term because of COVID. The government is asking a question. Can we continue to accommodate this COVID black hole in this already widening gap of our finances? Or do we have to introduce a revenue handle that can take care of it? And the government comes to a view that, with the greatest of respect, can we take 1% VAT to pay for that so that COVID does not become an ever-burdening expenditure item for us?
Yeah, but you made a choice to give us free water and electricity. You've extended it, and it served you well in the politics of the day.
Because government
won the election.
Because governments make
only
choices.
down to come and tell us to pay for it.
No, because governments make choices on behalf of their people. If we are at war, and the government has to make a decision that we have to procure A, B, C, D, E, F, G to go to war and win that war, and does not necessarily tax the population for it today, and mobilizes for us
but
to
the free was populist.
I'm coming. To mobilize and come together and achieve it. It is well in order for the government, when we have won the war, or we are on a clear path to winning the war, to say, this has been the cost.
So it wasn't free then?
It was free to the people of Ghana at the time.
But now we are paying for it.
Treasury, we have to now begin to...
You just delayed the payment, so it wasn't free. You should have told us.
This is the explanation that Information Minister, your boss, Kojo Oponkroma.
My boss has spoken. I have nothing else to add to it.
So he says that it will be paid for.
My boss has spoken. I have nothing else to add to it.
It was not free.
My boss has spoken. I have nothing else to add to it.
So you did the people Ajana 1, Ajana 2.
That is not it. Anyway, my boss explained it very clearly.
Black Rasta says, what? Food in Ghana is affordable and cheap? Does your guest know how much prices of eggs, rice, sachet water, onions have astronomically gone high? Indeed, the man riding on horseback does not know how hot the ground is.
Johnny,
yes,
you recall when the president pleaded with Ghanaian market women that stop the rising of your food items. Do you remember that people were lifting up their prices? Eggs, that is where we are.
Were they getting the fuel for free?
People were lifting it up
transport.
when we had reduced fuel. You remember? It's an interesting.
You reduce fuel by what margin?
It's an interesting thing.
You reduce fuel by what margin?
Black Rasta is a very, very good gentleman. Right. I know him. I listen to him very well.
You reduce the fuel by what margin?
You don't remember?
At the time,
fuel
had gone to 18 cedis per liter.
And we reduced it.
To what?
Today, what is the fuel? Tell me.
It's 13 cedis, 30 pesos or so.
Good, because of gold for oil.
Really?
Of course.
Gold for oil.
Because of gold for oil.
And where was
Stabilize the Ghanaian city.
Where was it when you got into power?
No, you see, Johnny, this kind of conversation. We cannot have that level of comparison.
Why?
Because government is continuum. Changes have happened.
And
developments have grown. I mean, come on.
And as you were, you must charge the people more.
No, as you were yesteryear, it's not as you are today.
Wait,
that's the truth.
So yesterday,
as it was yesteryear, it's not as it is today.
Yesterday, Ken Oforiatta said we are better off than we were.
Absolutely.
So we're buying fuel at a gallon for how much?
In which year?
And we're buying fuel for a liter at how much?
On what condition?
And you say we are in a better place.
We are indeed in a better place. Johnny, that's the truth. We are indeed in a better place than we were.
How do you explain free water and free electricity to the man who is paying, who hitherto was not connected to Ghana Water or doesn't even have electricity, but has to bear the burden to pay for everybody else, even though they did not enjoy any of what you call free? How do you explain the concept of free water to such a person?
Johnny, I think that my boss has explained that. And opening Kasai and Fabian Kahun. So let's move on from the free water and the free electricity. Because my boss has spoken about it already. He's explained.
He's using Kacha to run away. Opening Kasai.
That's where corruption begins.
Oh, how can you say that's where corruption begins?
Your Peggy is not here. You are the one.
Opening is not saying what he said.
No, but the conversation has been held. The conversation has been held on the free water and the free electricity. That it was free to you at the time because government as a leadership institute needed to make a decision on behalf of the Ghanaian people. You were staying home, you were not working. You were staying home, the economy was at a standstill. You were staying home and the government you were staying home and the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo ensured that you had water.
Was it honest?
Ensured that you had light. You were pleased with that.
Was it honest to have called it free water?
What do you call it?
Credited water.
It's not free.
Credited.
It's free to you.
Please allow him to answer my question.
It's free to you at the moment you are receiving it because you are not working. There's no income going and coming.
Have you bought food on credit before?
Johnny,
I'm asking you a question. If you would answer, I'll be happy. Have you bought food on credit before?
No, you see, when you say have you bought food on credit?
Yes.
No, you see,
have you
the water we gave.
Yes, no.
But you're saying
please answer
food
my
on
question.
credit.
My
no,
brother, yes. You're not bought food on credit.
You're going to raise an analogy and you're going to connect it. So I need to be careful.
No.
By the time we were buying the food on credit, was it free?
No, when you buy food on credit, the way you chop the food is different. The way you chop food bought on credit is different. Because at that material moment, you're not going to fork out any cash to pay. So
Johnny, I think that really we must be very grateful to the leadership of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo because you see, at that very spell of the moment,
why is the government bent on taking praise and worship from the people, even when they don't deserve it? You're doing your job.
Yes, of course, we're doing our responsibility, but we are doing a yeoman's job.
Do you know
a responsibility that we have come to serve? To serve extremely. Other people came, they didn't do what we're doing. Other people came, they didn't have the level of impact that we had with the global pandemic. 100 years ago was when it happened. The next time it's likely to happen is 500 years ahead of us. None of us will be here if Jesus has not come.
Do you know that during this supposed free water, free electricity period, somebody connected a pipe, put it outside his gate, behind his wall, and the area people who did not have connection came to fetch the water for free? Because his assumption was that if the water is free and people don't have the water, why should I keep it alone? Now, months down the line, the government says you have to pay. And he's brought exorbitant bills. He has to pay. But the people who enjoyed the water thought it was free. In fact, he distributing the water thought it was free as well. Have you been fed to such a person?
Johnny, generosity comes at a cost. Okay? Generosity comes at a cost. So I have stated, and I think that my honorable minister has said it very succinctly. When something is free for you at that very moment, does not mean someone is not paying for it. And for people like us who have coming from a missional background, you know very well that the fact that you're not the one pulling out the money does not mean that there is no a donor or a supporter somewhere who is not supporting you. So we need to put it in context. Maybe it's the word free that has become a contextual issue that we are discussing, whether it was free indeed or free with half. But whatever it is, water was given. People had water. Light was given. People had light whilst they stayed home.
People make that. Now, in your 2020 manifesto, right? Towards 2021, what we are assessing all of the budgets. So Asempa budget, Ijuma budget, Impunto budget, Inidaso budget, Nkoswa budget, Nkabom budget, Ajenkwa budget, and now Nkunim budget.
Nkunim.
Okay, so
it's a victorious budget.
So I've run you through the names of the budget. I mean, it tells a story, but I don't know what story it tells to the ordinary Ghanaian who is listening to us now. But in the 2020 budget for 2021, you mentioned that you were going to create 1 million jobs in 3 years. And I'm interested in that because we are back at that table. Youth Start, it first started at Youth Bank and then came to Youth Start. And then we were told in 2022 that we'll use the whole of 2021 to do feasibility studies and that we're going to start in 2022. Let's look at that policy because it found presence in the budget in 2021. 2022 is there again in 2023, agenda for jobs for young people. Tell me, what's going on?
Johnny, what's going on is that every single year we need to look into the Youth Start initiative and projects that we're doing. And I've stated that there's not been a leader who thinks about the generation and the fortunes of this country, none other than President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. You today, when you mention Dangote and you go to Nigeria, everybody knows Dangote. When you move from Nigeria and you come to the sub-region of West Africa, everybody knows Dangote. You go to the continent of Africa, everybody knows Dangote. You move Dangote beyond Africa, everybody knows Dangote around the world. I have stated that what we are doing with the 1 million young people who are to be entrepreneurial, we're building an entrepreneurial nation who are to be entrepreneurial. The impact of that is going to be felt in the next 10, 15 years to come. Why? Because these entrepreneurial young people are going to now employ more young people within their sector. During the NEIP years, in the years gone by before the second term, we invested into Chicken Man Pizza. You know how his business has thrived and grown across board. Now, everywhere you drive, you see, and there are many dotted in innovative entrepreneurial businesses that are functioning as a result of government's intervention in
where
young people's lives. Where are the 1 million
jobs? 3 years have come. Where are the 1 million jobs?
Johnny, 1 million young people are to become entrepreneurs who would create more jobs. The jobs are being created progressively.
In which areas? In which sectors?
Oh, various sectors.
Tell me.
Various sectors.
Tell me.
No, youth employment. There are various sectors. We can pull out the data.
NAPCO?
NAPCO was not part of the 1 million jobs that we were creating. So don't bring NAPCO into the
No, I'm just asking.
NAPCO I know NAPCO.
I was there when it was launched.
Yes.
On a show like this,
yes,
all that I said, have come to pass.
What did you say, Prophet?
I said that they were wasting money even before the program.
That is
when
not
you
true.
passed. I was there.
Oh, go ahead.
You passed the whole Ghana to Independence Square, bought T-shirts for them. Up to now, we still haven't paid them.
I'll tell you something about NAPCO.
65,000.
I'll tell you, Johnny. I'll tell you something about NAPCO.
Yes, 9 months.
Young people stayed home without a hope and a future. The government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo out of the box brought a NAPCO, Nation Builders Corp, for young people to be able to have skill and experience. Do you know how people struggle to get internship? People don't do internship in this country. So when people are looking for jobs, they are struggling. Government pulled these people from their homes to come and work. I think that at some stages, we should be able to commend. And I always say it. You understand? We should be able to commend because you see, the impact of NAPCO on the nation is huge. There are still people that are in NAPCO now who are still at various sectors.
You owe them 9 months arrears, Helen,
That's
right?
correct. 9 months arrears. I'm paid.
699 CDs, 9 months arrears, over 650,000 beneficiaries. How do you want to claim applause for such an abysmal performance?
Johnny, you use the word that nobody has used because this performance is not abysmal. The NAPCO trainee, the NAPCO people themselves who were involved with this initial project were very pleased. And it was going to be a phase out. The
allowances were supposed to be paid to them to take them to the training centers and to their workplaces.
They will be paid.
Many months after they have finished NAPCO, you still owe them 9 months of when the program was running. And you say it is not abysmal.
When government owes you, government pays. You know that.
So some may not survive to get the money.
Oh no, there's no one that is dying.
Are you sure?
Oh yes. There's no one that is dying. Yes. There's no one.
So tell me the sectors where the jobs have been created.
Okay, so I'll just go through for you to know. One district,
the 1 million jobs.
One factory. Oh, let me just go through one district, one factory. Created over 169,000 jobs for young people across the length and breadth of this country. You start initiatives, beneficiaries close to about 18,512 females and then 5,183 males. And they are in various badges that we have created jobs for them. We have also looked into the high level of investment as it relates to roads, and I am pleased.
My social media
with roads.
My social media handler is asking me if you live in the same country with us.
Oh, we do live here, Johnny. You know,
because he's surprised. He's just out of university, but he's surprised.
But he's doing his national service. Is he
no,
not?
no, he's fully employed.
Oh, fully employed. Good.
We have created
TV3. Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Government has created the enabling environment for you to create the employment. That's what government does. Create the enabling environment.
See, the young people are not happy with the government. Are you aware?
I am aware that the young people are concerned. I'm aware of that. I meet them daily, every single day.
And that the promises that were made to them,
I meet them daily.
The promises that were made to them have not been fulfilled.
Which is why, if you go to any of the portals today, from YAA to NEIP to GEA to NYA, all the youth agencies, there are portals that are opened to give young people opportunities to work. Job bank
How much
at
are you
YAA.
paying them? Some are paid 450 cedis.
Johnny.
Some are paid 699 cedis. In this economy,
Johnny, you must appreciate the trajectory of the development of the country. Ghana is still a middle-income developing country. You should understand.
They won't listen to this when they see somebody has $1 million under a bed.
Who has $1 million under the bed?
You don't know.
Cecilia Dapa, you are referring to.
It's in court, so
of
you
course,
speak about
yes,
it.
But you see,
we're stating the facts. We're not discussing
the merits of the facts.
The economy grows when money circulates. One person is keeping all this under the bed. We're not saying that it is criminal. But we're saying that
another presidential staffer had 114.
Why? Let the money circulate so the economy will grow.
$114,000, which was also stolen from her. So the people who are telling us to go and save, keep our monies in the bank for them the money to circulate, for everybody to get it, for my social media handler, if he has a small business, to go and borrow, they are keeping the money and they are telling us that we are burden sharing. That's why they are not happy with you.
No, the burden sharing, you have used it out of context. Because who
defines burden sharing for me?
The burden sharing is not other people's private monies that they have worked hard for, and there are issues around that. It's not any of those. I mean, let the issues come out of court very well. Leap, you know?
You have left the job area.
Oh, I'm still there.
Okay.
You still want me to spend time?
Is Leap a job?
No, but I'm talking about the holistic view of the budget.
How much is being paid for Leap these days?
Oh, so we're looking at over... the total amount is about 290 million.
One person.
Ghana cedis. Oh, divide that by 350,000 households.
A family.
Divide that. Divide that by
a total of what?
Is the number there?
For me. No, the number is not here.
It's what's the amount? What's the total amount?
280 million.
280 million.
Divide that by 350,000 households. Yes, you have to remember in a household are more than one or two. So do the permutation.
So 800 cedis per household. So 800 cedis per household. To do what with?
Well, to take care of them. Take care of their livelihood.
In Accra or
and all around the world. All around the country. In the world.
A family?
Yes.
You are giving the family 800 cedis?
Yes.
A family of how many?
Oh, it depends. And it varies. You see, it depends and it varies. But these are vulnerable people. Vulnerable people. And it's a forward-thinking government.
So you give them vulnerable money?
Oh, how can you say vulnerable money? Well, the fact that they're vulnerable doesn't mean the money you give to them is vulnerable.
I see.
It's hard-earned money and prudent management of the Ghanaian economy that has brought this about.
The government
infrastructure. If I can go to infrastructure, because it is key. Infrastructure, the road construction, Johnny, you will be amazed. Kumasi Lake Road drainage extension.
Oh no, you're moving away from that. I wanted us to dwell a bit on it. You know that
Which one?
The road toll, persons living with disability road toll, they're here. I've just been informed that they have come
in the office here?
Yes, they've come yesterday.
They come for an interview?
Yesterday they were arrested at the roads ministry for picketing. They've been looking for their money for 2 years. You know, the roads minister unilaterally cancelled road tolls without parliamentary approval and without cabinet endorsement. And because of that, people lost their jobs. They were promised that they were going to be reassigned. 2 years on, they have not been reassigned. They have not been paid their monies. And each time they go and ask for it, police will pick them up. They are here.
So they went to
because you are talking about vulnerable people.
Road. Yes, of course. I mean, Johnny, road tolls are crucial and essential for our Ghanaian economy. we have stated as a government that all new roads that are being done are going to be tolled. Right. We would have some further conversations with them, but road tolls, a lot of the management of the road tolls were in private sector hands. You understand? A lot of them were in private sector hands. And we, having taken the decision, on the road tolls abolition over a period of time, was clearly to ensure that we also save the lives of these vulnerable people. Because it was on the Tema motorway that a car went to hit one of the tolls and killed an individual who had left home, told their family that I'm going to work and come and never came back. Right. So we need to have a holistic conversation around this. The construction of the flyover at the Accra Tema motorway, Flowerport, is almost 60% complete. Phase 2 of the Tema motorway roundabout construction is about 56% complete. Construction of the 4 major bypasses, Osino, Enyinem, Enyirisin, Konongo, along the Accra Kumasi Highway, has already commenced. Reconstruction of the Agona Nkwanta Takwa Road, 44%. Dualization of Ho Sokode Bomagama Civic Center is ongoing. Traffic management works have also been completed 100%. Selection of roads in Sekendi and Takrady Phase 1 is ongoing. And the part that I like most is the dualization of the Nsawum of Fankor Road. 10 lanes, 6-lane highway, 4 lanes road interchanges, Amasama in Pobiman, Media in Sawum, construction ongoing. And the Swami interchange.
So this is what, for example, will increase government expenditure to 226 billion when they actually are targeting a revenue of 176 billion. Is that the case?
Roads are good for the country.
But does it make sense to spend more than you earn?
Roads are good for the country.
Does it make sense to spend more than
There's not any country. Johnny, even in your own nuclear family, sometimes what you earn is less of what you spend.
No, I don't do that.
Oh,
my father taught me not to do that. It will be an improper fraction. The numerator is always supposed to be atop the denominator.
But that is why we study improper fraction.
The day the denominator
when you are given an improper fraction to work out and you get an improper fraction, and the math teacher is a good math teacher, you make it correct because you are trying to identify improper fraction. Right. You understand? Johnny, I have stated that there is not a single country that has lived without coexisting with other countries. You can look at budgets of the years ago and compare those budgets and see that every now and then government needs to make a plan. Which is why the budget is in the manner in which it is done. And you should give credit to the hard-working ministers of the government of Ghana and also the hard-working team that has been able to.
Vice President is the head of the economic management team.
The flag bearer of the new patriotic party.
Where is he?
Of course, he's there.
In all the economic management.
He is there. He's been part of all of these processes.
Why was he not in Parliament yesterday?
Oh, but the Vice President and flag bearer of the new patriotic party has a lot of work to do.
But this was his budget, too.
Yes, of course. This is not his budget. This is the President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's budget.
He's detaching himself.
How can he say that he's detaching himself? But he's been in all meetings of the preparation of the budget.
The ticket is one.
No, but then, Johnny, the number of people that were in the planning meeting of this budget, all of them did not come to Parliament.
Okay.
Yes, but there are a lot of them that were in the meeting.
He has showed his face in Parliament.
Oh, of course. That's not been a problem. But if in the past you have shown your face and in the present you are showing your face at the background to make sure that things are going very well, I think that we shouldn't fault him for that because I know that he's been in all the meetings.
Listen to Dr. Bawumia on borrowing while in opposition. Listen to him.
Our oil money. Let's forget about gold. Just put all of those resources that they've had aside. I just want to focus on one statistic. How much money have they borrowed since they've been in office these last 7 years? When they came in, Ghana's debt was 9.5 billion Ghana cedis. Today, after 7 years, they've increased it from 9.5 billion, that is from independence to 2008. Today, they've increased it to 90 billion Ghana. This is like 10 times what has happened. Now, I sat down the other day and I said, okay, how much is this additional borrowing in dollar terms? In dollar terms, they met a debt of about $8 billion in 2009 beginning. $8 billion from independence to 2009. They have added, as of today, they borrowed up to a value of $34 billion.
3FM 92.7 Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
I hear some people argue that we should go to IMF. Any government that goes to IMF has failed. And we haven't failed for the good works that we have done in this country. You should applaud Keno Foriata. But if I hear some people argue that we should go to IMF, any government that goes to IMF has failed. And we haven't failed.
3FM 92.7 Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Trust me, you're sitting here and you're smiling. IMF, what are we going to say again? Somebody tested me, don't say anything about IMF. Me, I shouldn't say anything about IMF. I will say it. I will say it. You know, going into IMF is just like handing over power to NDC without a contest. Straight away. Because the noise we make, and I chew my own words back when I said NDC went
but I can tell you
IMF because of mismanagement of the party, the government, or the economy. So if MPP is going to IMF, what am I going to say?
3FM 92.7 Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
but I can tell you, as my colleague Deputy Minister said, we are not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not. The consequences are there. We are a proud nation. We have the resources. We have the capacity. Don't let anybody tell you. Like when Joshua, Caleb, and the 10 others went to spy on the promised land. And only 2 of them came to say that we can do it. And the 10 went around the community murmuring, you can't, We are not people of short sight, you know. And we have to move on.
Nkunim Budget. The government is at the IMF. Keep that in the fridge. But our friends from the Persons Living with Disability Toll Collectors Association have joined us in studio. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we? Quickly, please, microphones. Good morning. Use the microphones for me. Good morning. How are you?
Please,
what's your name, Chief?
My name is John Afezi.
John Afezi. Yours? Okay, and then, Madam, you are?
Evelyn Gadri.
Great. Yesterday, you went to picket at the Roads Ministry, and some of you were arrested. Were you arrested? Yes. Quickly, use the microphone for me, please.
Yes.
You were arrested. Yeah. Why were you arrested?
Can I speak?
Yes, speak to you.
Okay.
And
that 3 days, now your call was there, your call, you call minister. By your crying, and cotton, your town order your return, to your town 8 o'clock p.m. Now, was a security issues in the Yambra Bonte, the Bonte, but there pavement not do a quano. The other mother 10 o'clock, near another shame. They said, I'm down my young quay inside. The inside, and on the street is no son. I catch around Mamma won't take my head and young quay inside. And say, one knock I cannot do a big cacarity. That's Sister Evelyn, Bloom. The street is clear gates in the fin.
Okay.
John, I know, and so you know, one year than women plano. And so you cry, cocoa so gates and we push him or cry inside. Now your crew. You were inside, no, yet now 15 minutes and you were a police car stray. Or Ben over fire police.
But everything, security for the same men come out and now will come.
Papa, the answer na ye con. Yama uncle ye my. Just say who ya brabos or comedy because 2 years in here. What do you do my fee and sem? Our minister Castle, Obetia and cat, I could say, Obey my fro and my fine. Your son be Shiano, non yen Casai no say. Person with disabilities, no, will be a gate na my see any time be a ye no. You bet me by inside. And today na ye call, which is 3 days na ye could do on gate in the open. and your reception, and son had the babesa. That is how you pay about Tinkoda at the Bettina. Or catch once one lock a gate, more my and by inside view. And yes, who yen papaya, yen coy. Into no ye Janabontin, sir, what's for my MP, into Cabby, Viet Casino. Omu Remun, all ragged, Saragate, Nado. And now, Miss Medica and Yedi, Carnage. Say the carnage, can't a pen security, only a 4. No, can't get to no boom, no, me tea. Me can't that down, no quarring yamin. Can't get me enough for the to me, yammy wash it, to me, no mudi mechi. And also for so maybe a gate now, you right inside because young Quasi acquired it, and yet demonstration here.
But minister, no, within 2 years. Sorry, first, but walk hospital.
Me bacho say.
Walk hospital.
Me bacho there me.
I didn't tell you that they are both to hospital.
Me den mako. This way. Me den mako. Wow. And do me ti prime sa. Arasta man na me no na ye die. Enti no, you do about 10 minutes in what the car ba. Ah, police boss say get inside. No say na ban ya den.
Police for him.
Police Odosun. Okitetuo, Tisania, what's the arm robbers aba ministries ho? Okitetuo mo je helmet. Get inside. Near say aban na den na yaye. Get inside. Ma obi anka say yen run inside, yen ko. Enya de yebeko because yen can mun kan yaye, accident na yeko.
But mo je permit for police for hands na mo ko picketing.
Debi, enye picketing.
Den.
Kona ye minister ndi kan ka kire yen say. Ye hia na Yembra, de na ye koy no kram, de bia ye koy no. Ni ye do sensa, na wo friend, na obi hu yen. Aha. And wo friend no obi hu yen. Okay. Wo friend no obi hu yen no so fine. Ye de obu aye den ama no. So benya ye wuta ne yen kasa nti tem bia ye hia no. Yembra. Right. Nti na ye endorse. Ya ye koy ye zakati ye endorse, and ye koy. Even though ye do 12, na ye koy ho no. Nti no you do want a police no open no say fro kan wo say yen gu kan.
So what the mo coin?
Central Police Station.
Central, okay. Now more trust statement. Munyina.
But nyina yendi onyo obia trust statement.
By force yen trust statement.
Okay.
Middle gate na no. Access ni ho. And we push him say me run inside. Me see from the wheelchair na me run na me come say no. This my leg. Me na get happen. Nti no without me na no me to me nanto. Either say ombe kukuru me edia for steps no edia ko ana say ni ombe ye no omunye nti omu force say omu push say metumi akwa omu tumi nko na omu jam see gate na no say they will come to me and no ma imi nuanu nyina ede omu right inside.
So did you write your statement? Who trust statement? Microphone. Did you write a statement?
No, please.
Okay, so who wrote the statement? Did you write a statement? But Obi trust statement.
You see, we wanted to write the statement, but one of the police I don't know his name.
But you don't have to know his name.
Yeah,
what happened? We don't have too much time, so keep the story short. So
but he said that you have to select only one person to write.
So who wrote the statement?
Actually,
who was that one person?
Statement
Rashad, your president. He wrote the statement.
Statement.
No.
Elected the Babako.
Only one person.
No, so what catch our Montreal, Rashad, what catch our
Montreal. To one draw, and not Troy.
One draw.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Munim say a draw statement than now and draw statement. Okay, microphone. And the would who
me
minister no shamu dear.
Yeah,
but minister no shamuda.
Me pacho you. Me pacho you.
And at the end of catch him.
O catch yense. Oguso epe maybe I also very assign Oguso pe ejuma baby to say as a road ne sa nyama ketenkete no yento yemboase but nia ejinja yen ni say ye ebos na ye ne omu ye ejuma wo to no bebre na ye ejuma wo azwe to ho
wa mo reassignment
omu ye ejuma wo ho mi nim kwan ya mo fa so a wo konye ejuma no ho eno de ye ntumi nche
nti mo dwen say you have been neglected.
Yes, and almost I'm going to say is to whom you know. And to know me busu any be a MP and I say assembly my me den menya. Akwenya say me kwa koye juma
e ka hin na obodemu abani demu.
Yeah, sure and ka wodi 2 years. So we ejuma no 2 years.
Every month ya he.
70.
700.
700.
Okay, so 700 Ghana, that's about 16,000.
Yeah, 16,000.
16,800.
16,800.
Yes,
That's what the government owes each one of you.
Yes, please.
Now, how many are you?
Yeah, PW is near 300.
388.
Yeah.
388.
388.
Wow, I see. What is the next step? To say Marco Pekete, police achimo, the gate Amiauti, Minister Nuswa Muhuno. What's next?
And see, under the mobile and the police phone say, Chandayan executives in Kenyipa 5. One call police station, then come home for him the minister.
Okay.
And then there's some work at
executives walk.
One cry by bit to the Bibin War South Station.
Accra FM.
Accra FM near the Nayasuya Bahade.
Okay. Okay. I see. And Ramini Rashad Kasayano, or see Minister and catcher and say, Otias can be causing financial loss to the state.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
He said that.
He said that?
Yes, please.
He told you to?
Yes, I was around.
You were in the room
when
the minister said that if they pay you the money that is owed you, it is causing financial loss to the state.
Please, exactly. He says so.
Wow. Okay. We will leave it here for now. Thank you very much for coming. And,
please, I want to say
sorry.
something.
Yes, quickly.
Please, we need your help. Yeah, without you people.
But this one we are giving you is help. Do you know how much 10 minutes cost on radio? So this is plenty help we are giving you. 2 days ago, we read your statement. Today, we are hosting you. Yesterday, we spoke with you.
Yeah.
What help again can we do? So you are getting help. So you need to help yourself. Go and meet the minister. Go to the police station. Meet the minister. Then what happens? Then we'll know. This government spokesperson on security and governance. So security people say they should come and beat them. Should they go? Relax. Let him answer the question. He look what?
Yeah, he look familiar.
He look familiar.
Yeah,
you know him, eh?
Yeah.
They know the people know you.
I know him.
Madam, who's him? No.
I know him. Bro.
You know him, eh?
Yeah. He normally defends his party.
He's a good man. So,
Johnny, I've noted your concerns. Let me apologize for the issues they have gone through. It's been very difficult, I'm certain, that if you are not receiving your monthly income and you don't have any other alternative, it would be very difficult. I'm certain that whatever issues that they have, with the appropriate opportunity to dialogue with the sector minister,
right?
Some of these issues will be solved. Okay. But I would also pick it up with some further conversations.
Thank you very much. Big man, you'll be facilitated. You'll be sharing. I can't be. I was mama. Why? Me china me dey see na mo.
Honorable, we are begging you. You should fulfill your promises.
He said he will facilitate.
Yeah, so you have to do so.
Thank you very much. Grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Paragraph. So the government is back at the IMF table. We're wrapping up the conversation. Back at the IMF table.
You know, Jody.
The government says we will never go to IMF.
Jody, I like you for a number of reasons.
Why do you like me?
Because you are able to bring us from where we used to be and put us to where we are.
Yeah.
The IMF conversation that government stated that we were not going to go to was premised on the fact that we had done a lot of thought through in relation to electronic levy tax that was supposed to be introduced, which was stalled, close to about 6 months before its introduction. We were very confident that had the IMF, had the e-levy picked up at the time of estimation, we would have been able to accrue enough money, enough revenue from the e-levy tax. But that was not the intention.
Don't you think that if you had done broader consultation, we would have achieved what you are hoping for? Because the government said we're going to do all the 16 regions. We're going to have interactions with people, town hall meetings of a sort. even though belatedly. You only did 6 and rushed to Parliament to go and pass the e-levy bill.
Well, Johnny, you and I have had this conversation in the same studio
and
about...
it is a fact.
Yes,
only stating the facts.
Of course, yes. You and I have had this conversation about stakeholder engagement on the electronic levy. Yes, I mean, government has a part to play as much as the citizens also have a part to play. But I mean, coming on the backbench of the fact that there were close to about 44 million data SIM cards in the country, which is more than the population of the country. Anyway, by estimation, even if 17 million people are using 44 million, it means that each person is having about 2 or 3 SIM cards. And to ensure that we have that revenue that we so desire to be able to grow the Ghanaian economy and have an equitable share of resources regionally balanced, government felt that it was good to have introduced the electronic levy, and that was based on fact finding. Okay, that was based on research that was done. So now that was stalled. So it was the reason why. It was one of the reasons why we went to the IMF.
Now we are the IMF. We still have e-levy. Yesterday, people were hoping that because we are the IMF, we'll kick out e-levy, but that didn't happen.
I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
Because you see, Johnny, e-levy is a progressive tax. It's a tax that would liberate this country.
He says it is a regressive tax.
It's a very progressive tax. It's a tax that would liberate this country. It's a tax that would bring the level of revenues that we need, in addition to all other taxes. And generally, when you introduce tax and it's become a discipline and a part of a lifestyle for the people who pay the taxes, you don't withdraw a tax like that. You don't withdraw a tax that is meeting a very crucial need in the Ghanaian economy.
What have you been able to do with e-levy?
Johnny, we've used it to store up our budgets.
But they said e-levy was going to construct roads. E-levy was going to do this. E-levy. You remember all the ministers started saying what e-levy was going to do.
All the permutations of the e-levy. You recall that what we charge on e-levy is not what we had permitted, we had projected to charge.
You charged 1.75.
It was reduced. It was reduced.
1.5.
It was reduced.
And now you have reduced it to 1.
Yeah, exactly.
And now there are no thresholds. And now even if I send 10 pesos, I'll be charged e-levy.
So the projections that we made and what we sought to use that for obviously will change because those projections were based on the fact that we're going to charge 1.75, and that is all what it is today.
Okay, let's wrap up properly now. Nicely now, you have eyes on the Ebuakwa North seat, right?
I do.
What are the chances?
Well, Johnny, I think that potentially there are about 5 people, 4 of us coming up against the sitting MP. Right. The chances are very high. I'm engaging with all the delegates. It's a delegated election for the New Patriotic Party. Right. 524 of them are going to be voting on who will represent them in the candidature for the main election on the 7th of December 2024. I have stated to the delegate that they should choose me for a number of reasons. 1, I'm available. 2, I'm faithful. 3, I'm teachable. 4, I'm enthusiastic. 5, I have relationships. They should also choose me for a number of reasons. 3 key factors. I have access. I have an ability to mobilize. I also have an ability to bring technical involvement. And there are 4 key things that I want to do in the constituency. Should they elect me as their candidate to stand in the national elections in the 2024, which obviously as a stronghold will do a very good work to ensure that we win the 2024 seat for Ebuakwa North for the New Patriotic Party under the candidature of Palgrave Bwachidankwa. 4 key things. Number 1, infrastructural development. I've already started doing boreholes in the constituency, and the goal is to do a lot more infrastructural development, from boreholes to toilets to clinics to police stations to hospitals, schools, to infrastructure as it relates to a factory that I'm going to build to ensure that the food items that are being processed in the community can come into a factory. And then number 2, I'm going to ensure that we have youth development. I mean, and Johnny, you've known my background, that for the longest part of my life, I've been a youth worker. The goal is to ensure that the young people in the constituency are able to build up themselves. So we are going to have a lot of youth development, and we're going to have human capacity development. Human capacity development is where people must have a greater understanding of their self-being and their self-worth and prepare them basically for the future. And finally, being a missionary for the longest part of my life, I'm going to raise a pool of resources, funding, where people who want to start businesses, people who want to further their education into the university, people who want to do other things that will need money, there's going to be a capital that is set up for them to do. So that is it.
That's what you want to do.
This is not campaigning, but this is really just sharing my vision and my goal for the good people of Ebuakwa North.
Palgrave Bwachidankwa, grandson of JB Dankwa himself, in studio. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Johnny, for the opportunity.
Let's take 2 calls, just 2 calls. 055-924-2717. 055-924-2717 and 055-691-0154. 30 seconds each. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Yes, sir. 30 seconds.
Thank you very much.
30 seconds.
Yes, even less than that. About the leap that your host was, your guest was talking about in the studio. Formerly, it was 62 cities. And this year, when I may have to review some of our checklist, then it was times 2. So now it is 120 per household intervals of 2 months.
Okay.
January, May, July, September, November.
30 seconds.
And the highest is 180.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. 30 seconds. Name and location.
Okay, the only thing I want to alert people is that these people, they just doing this for their colleagues. This car importation without
electronic vehicle, right?
All their money which they have accumulated, that's what they are going to use for those cars.
Oh, please call me back. Your line is bad. Good morning. Yes, sir. Papa, today.
Papa, yeah.
30 seconds.
30 seconds, yeah. Can I ask them that why is that when they were in opposition, you were comparing us to Ivory Coast economy? And I was saying that, look, we don't have to be comparing Ghana to Ivory Coast this year because Ivory Coast, they have their destination from France.
Okay.
That's assimilation.
Okay.
Assimilation policy.
Don't answer your own question. Don't answer your own question. Don't answer your own question. Thank you. Good morning.
Yes.
Precious. Welcome. 30 seconds.
You saw the budget with the red yesterday. No, people are joking Ghanaians.
Oh, how?
The red budget, voter within down this matter. They put inside budget. That is doing. Voter connected to the budget. Put this wrong thing, we will not find somebody out now. Why they did that thing?
I hear you.
People have to rush on them.
Thank you. Nipa Cobra. Good morning.
Yeah, Kawula.
Diso.
No, You see, opposition is staring at them. Don't quiet and go. Tell him. I'm saying the opposition is staring. They are smell opposition, and they will soon go because they promise heaven and earth. They will do this. All is lie. All be lie.
Thank you.
So go to opposition.
Thank you very much. I said we're going to pick 2. In fact, we had a chance to pick about 5 calls. The people don't believe you, Palgrave. What will you do about it? People say the government not trustworthy.
This government is very trustworthy.
Yeah, very trustworthy.
This government is very trustworthy, Johnny. The government of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo is very trustworthy. I've stated that Ghanaians will miss President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
You know,
the success stock is amazing. The investment made is unwavering. This government has proven to the Ghanaian people that the can-do spirit is with us.
There's something that I want to bring to your attention. You know, every year 3FM we have what we call the all-white party. Since you are wearing white, we want to share with you. And there's a way we find to celebrate. This year we want to do the Nkunim all-white party. So 3FM all-white party table packages for 10,000 Ghana cedis. 12 people per seat. We get a couch set up, 1 bottle of champagne. We get 3 Prosecco, we get 1 bottle of whiskey, 2 bottles of wine, 1 bottle of tequila, 2 packs of beer. We get 8 bottles of water, soft drinks, mixers, cocktails per guest, unlimited grills and buffet dinner, wristbands, dedicated weighted service, 10,000. That's the platinum. Diamond seats, 8,000. We get a couch, 3 bottles of Prosecco, 1 bottle of whiskey, 2 bottles of wine, 1 bottle of Irish cream or vodka, 2 packs of beer, 8 bottles of water, 8 soft drinks and mixers, cocktails per guest, 8 packs of grills and buffet dinner, wristbands, dedicated weighted service. If you pay 5,500 for the gold, you get 6 people at the seat, and you get a table setup of 2 tables, Prosecco, 2 bottles of Prosecco, 1 bottle of whiskey, 1 bottle of vodka or Irish cream, 2 bottles of wine, 1 pack of beer, 1 cocktail per guest, 6 soft drinks, bottles of water, 6 packs of grills, wristbands. Silver, that's 4,000, that's 800 per seat. And then you pay, you get 1 bottle of Prosecco, 1 vodka, 2 bottles of wine, 1 pack of beer, 5 soft drinks, 5 bottles of water, and 1 cocktail per guest, 5 packs of grills, wristbands, etc. Bronze 2,000. That's for 4 seats. That's 500 per person. 1 bottle of wine, 1 bottle of vodka, 1 pack of beer, 4 soft drinks, bottles of water, 4 packs of grills, and 4 wristbands. So now I ask you, incoming parliamentary candidates for Abuakwa North, and maybe incoming MP for Abuakwa North, where do you stand? Do you stand with gold, diamond, platinum, silver, or wood?
Johnny, you know my delegates need me, and I need to celebrate Christmas with them and do an all white. So we'll have a local all white.
You have a local all white.
We cannot afford
ignoring us.
We cannot afford the tequila.
Your people alone.
You said tequila. The tequila.
It's not tequila. It's not tequila.
Tequila. Tequila.
Punk, no mention it for him. Tequila.
Tequila.
Yes, yeah, tequila.
Tequila. Yeah. You know.
One Johnny Hughes. You are the man.
We'll be doing an all white. We'll be doing an all white in my constituency to celebrate the victory.
You can have your party. Buy table for me, Helen, William, and Sixtus. We'll be happy. We pray. We will pray.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you.
We will pray. Oh my God. Have a good morning. This has been Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7. Former President Kufuor's wife, Theresa Kufuor, has been laid to rest today.
The Lord will give her divine forgiveness for anything that may hinder her. That the Lord would bless her and receive her into his kingdom. That he will look upon her with mercy in his